You're listening to SM Media, the #1 place for exclusive content.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of the Scottish Football Show right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It's a pleasure to be your host as always. You'll see that the panel is makeshift this week and there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, Rory, who is now kind of just basically at the BBC full time, he's presenting Countryfile this weekend, so he won't be on. And Wilson and Shankers, who are on the show every week, we'll give them credit. They love the show, they do the show. They're away to see the competition. They're away to see Open Goal this weekend, so they won't be on tonight. They've let us down. In all seriousness, though, congratulations to everybody at Open Goal for their show coming up tonight. We're wishing them all the very best. A great achievement for that type of media to be able to get that type of audience. So congratulations to them and very best of luck to everybody there, and hope everybody enjoys the show. It just looks an amazing thing to go and see. But we've brought in a great panel this week as well. When you, if in doubt, you turn to your brother. Callum, my brother, it's a pleasure to welcome you on the show. Thanks very much for joining me this week.
No problem, Scott. Thanks for having me on.
Brilliant. And we're joined as always by Charlie Richmond. Charlie, it's a pleasure to welcome you on the show this week. Thanks very much for joining me.
No, thanks for the invitation. Delighted to come in and help you out in your hour of need for there.
You picked a great weekend to be on with all the refereeing decisions we're going to have to deal with tonight.
And plus, I wanted to speak to Shankers about his game yesterday. Dear, oh dear. Yeah, that was some game up at
Were you at it? Were you at that?
No, afraid not. No.
Yeah, it's been a wild game. We'll cover that. We'll cover all the West of Scotland games in the extra show that's coming up this week. I'll make a wee announcement with that later on. But we have a couple of wee housekeeping things just to take care of before we get into the results. Shankers won a predictor this week with 8 points, so congratulations to Shankers. Great week for him. And as well as that, we've got an extra show coming up on Friday with Be the Juniors. So we'll announce more about that during the week. So that's something to look forward to this week coming. We'll look at the 6 results in the Premiership before we move into other things. Hearts 2, Motherwell 0, St Johnstone 3, Dundee 1, Dundee United 1, Ross County 0, Livingston 0, St Mirren 1, Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2 and Rangers 2, Hibs 1 today. We'll start off at Tynecastle. Hearts 2, Motherwell 0. Hearts went top of the league for yesterday. 2-0 victory, Liam Boyce for a penalty and then a terrific free kick for Stephen Kingsley. Charlie, I'll start with you. It's a terrific result for Hearts, but it was a kind of very even game, I would say. I think Hearts got the better of the quality, but Motherwell can take away a lot of positives from that. It was just a kind of good game all round, wasn't it?
Definitely. It seems to be that Hearts started the game better, got off to the better start. The penalty, again, an opinion decision with regards to the Boyce is scoring for fun at the moment, and they go and take that chance. And then again, Kingsley with a wonderful free kick. But again, question the goalkeeper setting up the wall to his left side, and then he moves across, and then he's done by taking that extra step and a half, and he puts it into his right-hand corner. But it seems to be that in the second half that Motherwell really put on the pressure, and if it wasn't for Craig Gordon having a couple of saves, Motherwell may have got something out of that. But going to Tynecastle, it's a difficult place to go.
we say that regular on here, but I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you as well. I think Motherwell had a lot of chances. Craig Gordon was terrific. I think as well, you've got to give a lot of recognition to the two midfielders yesterday. Benigni?
Yeah, he seems to be setting the header on fire. Everybody seems to be talking about this player, and sometimes that can be the downfall, because there may be a few scouts heading to Tynecastle to look at this. Can we take him in a permanent deal from there? So sometimes it's good that he may be even be looking just to reignite his career as well. And then there's other times that people will just be coming in and saying, is it Scottish football a stepping stone for him? But he seems to be on fire at the moment, and he seems to be generally a very good technical player.
Yeah, some of his control yesterday and some of his technique was brilliant. I thought as well the boy Irvin as well. I thought he had a really good game in the midfield. I think they kind of complement each other together quite well. Callum, what was your thoughts on Hearts 2, Motherwell 0?
Yeah, you look at it. I think also you've got to mention Liam Boyce. I think obviously he gets a penalty, but he also misses a penalty. Also to put that across to Charlie, whether that was a penalty as well. But yeah, they're playing well. I mean, the thing is, can they keep it up for the remainder of the season? Where the fact, obviously, it's the two big Glasgow clubs who obviously go away with at the end of the season. But the challenge for Hearts next will be to keep it going as far as they can.
Did you think it was a penalty, the second one, Charlie?
I'm sorry, I never saw it, pal. I'm sitting here wide open here to be absolutely slaughtered, because the commitments now of running after your son and daughter have taken me away. I know that the highlights were on about the back of 12 or something like that, but an old codger like me is like to go to his bed at that time. But for future reference, I will do my homework before I come on.
I thought it was a penalty. I thought it was kind of one of those you've seen them given, but in the height of the day, is it a penalty? I don't know, but I do think Hearts are certainly.
The good thing about that, Scott, is Hearts rose to the pressure.
Yeah.
Albeit they were only going to the top of the league for potentially 24 hours minimum. They rose to the pressure, and they took that and they said, right, we're going to go out and get a result. And it also shows as well a bit of unity and a bit of working for each other can get you a long way. Sometimes it's not always about that wonderful, great player that comes in and set. Sometimes it's just working as a team with regards to there. So Nielsen will be taking that away. Robbie will be taking that away. That he's delighted because Motherwell were obviously on a good run as well. So to get that and go top of the league, he'd be happy with that.
Yeah, definitely.
I was surprised that Motherwell didn't score. Did you see the amount of saves that Craig Gordon had to make?
Yeah, I know.
But if you're talking about a player like Beningame who come up for England on loan, if Hearts are loaning out a goalkeeper who they don't have for somebody for down England, would he make the kind of saves the same as Craig Gordon would?
I think it's difficult. I think Craig Gordon, you know what you're getting with Craig Gordon. It's the same with McGregor the day. You see some of the saves McGregor makes even Thursday night as well. You know what
These guys, and I'll use Craig as an example. Craig was ridiculed because he wasn't playing the ball with his feet. He wasn't Brendan Roy, but what a goalkeeper, a shot stopper, and a communicator and a commander. And sometimes you need that more than playing the ball for the feet.
Do you know what you've got to admire about Craig Gordon as well? Is remember before he signed for Celtic, it was very a lot of people thought, including me, that he might never play again. There's a lot of injury problems, and to come back obviously was terrific at Celtic. He's went to Hearts and just done the same thing. He's had a great career, and I think we don't speak often enough just how good he's been for the clubs he's played for. But obviously Hearts were top of the league, a brilliant result for them. Keeps their unbeaten league run at the start of the season going. But we'll move into St Johnstone 3, Dundee 1. Chris Kane with a double, Stevie May for St Johnstone as well, with Sweeney scoring Dundee's first goal in 6 games, I believe. Callum, St Johnstone, you need your strikers to score goals, and they done it yesterday. Chris Kane with 2, Stevie May with 1. That gives them a lot of confidence that the strikers are doing the business.
Aye, they really needed it. I think is that maybe their first or second one of the season?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think they really needed it. I think that puts them up to 8th or 7th, if I'm right or wrong. I don't know, but they really needed that win. It'll be a big bonus, obviously, seeing Stevie May on the score sheet. Somebody who's not scored for St Johnstone for a while. I looked at, so it'll be a big positive for them to see how far they can keep going now after the wee European stint. So it'll be good to see how far they can go now.
Yeah, definitely. Charlie, St Johnstone obviously with a big win there against Dundee. We'll touch on Dundee in a wee minute, but St Johnstone are, as I said there, the strikers doing their duty. It's important at a club like St Johnstone that your number 9 gets goals like that, and Chris Kane obviously with a double yesterday. It's a big boost for him, and obviously a big boost for St Johnstone after a kind of shaky start, would we say?
Very much so, because excuse me, I said on a time last year, I said I'd be surprised to see St Johnstone back at Hampden, and I eat my words very, very graciously. You need your strikers to take the chances, because St Johnstone are not going to create a lot of chances in other games with regards to this. But what I will do to back up St Johnstone is, I said that once they go out of Europe, they're a team to watch. And I think Callum Davison is a wonderful young manager who knows how to manage people to get the best out of them, and he knows the formation that the players can understand and play. And they're very, very strong defensively, albeit, okay, they conceded. But you'll know, I don't think you'll ever see St Johnstone getting thumped 4-5-0 because of the organisation of it and the way Callum Davison does. And I think I'm going to be shot down. But I think St Johnstone will go into the top 6. I know that they're sitting 8th at the moment, and they're 1 point, they're 4 points behind Celtic, etc., etc. And I think they'll be in the top 6 by Christmas and stay in it all season. I really think they're a good team to watch with this, the way they play football, and if they create 3-4 chances, these strikers are going to take 1 or 2, and sometimes that might be just winning games by 1 or 2 goals, like at the weekend.
Also, we are talking about the European team they also lost. Was it Jason Kerr and McCann?
I was just
on
going to say that
Day.
as well.
They're two players that obviously were the backbone of the team. So to lose the 2 players without a replacement, it's obviously a big miss as well for them. To lose the 2 players without a replacement. So
yeah, I think that obviously you made a good point there. Actually, you stole my shine there, McCann and Kerr, but they're two massive players. They were 2 key players in the double winning campaign last season. To lose them, I think they brought in Ali Crawford as well. I think he could be a big player. I think he could be a big creative threat. Middleton as well. Glenn Middleton was a few times yesterday. I was watching them. Middleton's getting forward. Middleton's creating a lot. You've got O'Halloran's pace. He caused Rangers a lot of problems at the start of the season. Like, they've got the players there. It's just a case whether they can continue it. And again, as we've spoke, Wilson's made the point. Wilson made a big deal last season, basically saying that Callum Davison would be the first manager to get sacked. He's ate the words comfortably, but he makes a good point as well. Charlie, where can St Johnstone go from here? They'll never experience that again, winning a double like that. Where's the next step for St Johnstone? Is it just maintaining that consistency of the top 6 and trying to go as far in the cup?
Yeah, wholeheartedly. And this is where, as a supporter, as a board, and as a manager, you've got to be realistic and say to yourself, right, are St Johnstone never going to win the Premier League? Probably not.
Yeah.
Are they going to be a regular top 6 team? I would say yes. Are they going to get to quarter-finals, semi-finals, and potentially finals of the League Cup and the Scottish Cup? I would say yes. So they're going to manage their club within that environment. Now, there may be one time that they may slip into the bottom 6, but good club management and also a good manager will make sure that they move back up. And if you're looking at a well-run club at the moment, you don't have to look further than St Johnstone. But realistically, if I was a St Johnstone supporter, top 6, getting to semi-finals and finals would be realistic for me.
Yeah, we'll move into Dundee as well. Obviously, they're in a bit of a struggle. Obviously, James McPike came out, and I'll get your thoughts in a minute on this, Charlie. But Callum, what do you think about Dundee? Do you think they could struggle this season?
Aye, I think obviously watching them last weekend against Rangers, they actually were in the game at some points in the game, played good football and stuff. I think is the thing we were talking about with St Johnstone. They've got the 2 strikers who scored, Chris Kane and May. They don't really have an out-and-out big striker. Is obviously the position they're in. I don't know what position they're in now right enough, but I think it could be a tough season for them again to maybe go back down.
What about Griffiths?
He's not firing though. I mean, it's a thing. He wasn't playing for Celtic, so why is he going? If he's going out and loan to Dundee, obviously it's to get him game time. But if he's not firing, then it's the same with signing any striker. If they're not on form, if they're not fit enough, it doesn't look fit enough. He went off against Rangers, 45 minutes or something was played, and he went off. Is he still not fit? Is he still not wanting to play? What's the story with Griffiths? Obviously, you've said he's a out-and-out number 9, obviously one of the best strikers Scotland have had for a long time, but if he's no firing, then it's going to be a struggle for Dundee.
Charlie, James McPake came out after the game and basically said, obviously James McPake was in the stands after the incident last week with Gerrard, but when he comes out and says Dundee were playing like a championship team, and he feels sorry for the coaching staff that had taken a take charge yet. Where does that leave Dundee? Like, what does that mean for them? And I know Callum made the point there about Griffiths not being fit, but we know what Lee Griffiths can do when he's fully fit. We've said that for years. But at some point, Dundee need to start scoring goals, or they could then find themselves in a really, really difficult position.
But they've got other players that you would hope that would step into that mark. They seem to be creating chances, not clear-cut chances, but half-cut chances, and Cummings as well. It was a kind of reasonably striker and still in his day. So you would expect him. It just seems to be they're no gelling. They don't seem to be gelling as a club, and I think the Charlie Adams, they're missing that influence with regards to him pulling the strings and cajoling and working and we all know that the ability of Charlie Adams. He could open up a defence with one pass. So it just seems to be that they're no gelling at the moment. And McPike was talking about the defending was poor, championship, things for there. But again, sometimes, and I'll talk on about another team today, that is it a case of, well, we're not good at defending, so do we have to go out and score more goals? But if you're not scoring goals, and you're not defending, kind of midfielders will be sitting like, "Oh God, what can we do here?"
Yeah, exactly.
And it just might need Dundee to. And looking, Dundee are sitting bottom. I don't know when they play Ross County or when they play Livingston, which are the two closest teams. They maybe need to just go out and beat them 2-3-0 and get that confidence boost, and then kick on. Sometimes that's that. Whilst you're doing there, every point, everything is a prisoner.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll move on to the other Dundee team. Dundee United 1, Ross County 0. Dundee United were picking up a goal through Niskanen, who scored his first goal. It continues a nice run of form for Dundee United. I think that's a 4th win in 6 games. A really good start for them. Ross County, again, playing well, wasteful in possession, just not getting the goal. But Dundee United, we've got to say as well, I was one of the people in this, when we done my predictions, I didn't think Dundee United would do as well as they have. It's a good start for the season for them, Charlie. They have performed quite well to start the season off.
Yeah, and we were writing Dundee United off because we didn't know who the manager was. We didn't know who Kurtz was. So
I think Shankland going as well. Like, you're losing the goals.
Shankland is going as a major goals for them. But prior to him going, he wasn't battered in goals. He wasn't 7 in 7 games or something like that. Things for there. So again, here's a manager. He's come in. He's got a group of players, and he's coaching and managing them to their strengths. And they're maybe only creating 1 or 2 chances, and they're taking it, albeit the goalkeeper. What was the goalie doing, Tom?
I know.
And the goalkeeper claimed that it seemed to be that the draw was the kind of favourable result, but Kurtz is just going to take that. That keeps the momentum going. And you know what I mean? When you play bad or you play and you get the result, it gives you that wee more kick up and allows you to then, we're not that, you start believing within your group, and we're not that bad at all. Let's go. Let's push. Sitting in the top 6 or sitting 5th. So that's a great start for them.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a great start from the top 6. I didn't expect them to be there at the start of the season. So fair play to Dundee United. Callum, what was your thoughts? Dundee United 1, Ross County 0. What was your opinion in that game?
I didn't look too much into this game, to be honest, but I think, as Charlie says, as you both say, losing Shankland, obviously he wasn't firing. A big miss to the team. If he's fit, then he's going to be a big boost to the team. But Ross County, I think their relegation, for me, I think they'll be rock bottom at the end of the season. I think they're not strong enough. They've not got a number 9 who's going to be firing either. So a tough game for Ross County though, away at Dundee United. They've beat Rangers at home, away to Celtic, got a result away at Celtic, won in the Dundee derby, won yesterday. So they're going well. But the thing you look at is who wants to go to Tannadice Tynecastle, these types of grounds. Who wants to go to the parks and play Dundee United at home? So yeah, another good 1-0. Probably could have scored more, but looking at it, a good 3 points for Dundee United and gets them up to 5th.
Charlie, it's a difficult place to go, but we'll touch a wee bit on obviously what the kind of main story for this game, and it's obviously not the sort of stuff we want to be talking about, but we do need to touch on it. It was alleged after the game that a Ross County fan has made an alleged racist comment towards Fuchs of Dundee United. Now, again, we need to emphasise as well, this hasn't been confirmed that this has happened. This has obviously been alleged. If you asked Dundee United, obviously we saw what Tam Course did after the game with the shot.
Yeah.
Well, Malcolm McKay obviously came out after the game and has said that the stewards and the Ross County end didn't hear anything. Where again, it's one of these situations that we need to kind of air with caution because we don't know the full details. But Charlie, it's another thing where obviously we saw on Thursday night the incident with in Prague and Rico Katongo, Nathan Austin. Obviously we've heard what's happened with them in the past few weeks as well. It's one of these things that we just need eradicated for the game, and until. What is the solution? What can stop this from happening? Because it just feels as if we're going round in circles, and it's going to just come up all the time, and it's just so unnecessary, and it's just so it should be in the past where it belongs. Like it shouldn't be happening in 2021.
No, it shouldn't be. And the problem is it's a society problem. Now, clubs have all got CCTV, so they should be able to home in on who's making the allegation with regards to that side of things. And if you're just putting something out there, then be careful. But if it's proved, if things are proved, then you need to be strong. You need to be strong and bring a fear factor into things nowadays, that when you are caught, you then get lifetime bans from every single football club in the world. And even bring in fines, fine the people individually, and get them on the profile, get them up there and tell them that this person was guilty of this, this and this. Whereas if you just hide behind things, it's very difficult to what should we say, punish them. CCTV, identify them, get them out there, and line them up and say, if this person is guilty of a racist comment towards a player, here you are, here is the player, talk to each other. And if nothing happens, get them to the jail's not the place to go, but there needs to be stronger punishment. Because sometimes if there's no stronger punishments, then you'll keep committing the crime. And fines, big massive fines, put the money back into the charities to do things, etc., etc. And I'm not advocating to make a social personality of the person. I'm there to hype in that this is what this person does, and maybe on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, or whatever the case may be. Yeah. But unfortunately, it's becoming a society thing. Do we? And sometimes as well, and the games that I've went to, I'm sure I've been people shouting abuse at me and that side of things. But because we go to a football ground, do we accept it? Can you know? I pay my money, so I'm entitled to shout whatever I want. And people round about probably can identify who the person is, yeah. But there's the fear factor that they might end up getting punished, i.e. a punch in the face or something that's got nothing to do with you. But all they're trying to do is just highlight it to the club or to the stewards and stuff. Mm-hmm. In an individual, in a small group, you could probably manage that. But when it becomes basically what we saw on Thursday night, it becomes very difficult. But you still need to be seen to be doing something. And we also as well, we've got the take the knee aspect and things. Has it run its time? Do we need to do something more jolting towards it? It's very difficult, but when you're guilty, when you're proved guilty, you need to highlight it and get them out there.
Yeah, I think you've kind of just explained it perfectly there, how my thoughts on it as well. Callum, anything you want to add on the situation yesterday?
Yeah, well, if we're talking about it as Charlie says, if it has allegedly happened, there must be people around about the person who said it, who maybe look and go, oh, that's who said it. Do you know what I mean? Maybe the way the media influences it now, you've looked at it, if there's one happened at the start of the season with Kyogo Furuhashi, it happened with him. Kamara last year, obviously one that happened yesterday. There must be, maybe 30, 40 years ago, I'm not saying it's acceptable, but back then, it's not going to get maybe as publicised as it is now. But the thing is, people are on their phones now, people can report it, people can do this and that to try and prevent it. You're always going to get a select, maybe 1 out of 10 doing it, no matter what, no matter where it is. But how many times have you seen it happen, and how many times is it going to keep happening without them actually doing something about it, as you say, Charlie? But it's a select few. It's 100% not acceptable. But as I said years ago, it's maybe more. It's not getting nipped in the bud, but it's starting to get nipped in the bud now. But it keeps happening for some reason. It's not being, as you say, policed enough.
Yeah. But why is it? Why is it with these people, when they see a black player, they first initially think of going down that's racism comment? And that's the thing that they need to get them talking to each other. I don't know. You don't want to put the two of them in the room, because all of a sudden you might have a bigger case or something like that. But why is it that when we see a white player who's had a bad game or whatever, we don't automatically go down the racism? But why is it when we see a black player, that's the first thing that these people think about? They go down the racism, the racist comments, and take it for that. And that can't be right. And that should be hauled up to them. And again, the CCTV, again, the thing is, but the point, Callum, you're saying about people round about, people might shy away because of who it is. They might get a punch in the face, they might whatever. And unfortunately, sometimes that's what happens. Again, it's just one of these things that we hate talking about, but we need to raise more awareness on it, because it needs to be eradicated. And it's not, you made a point there as well, and I've agreed with this all along. It is a society problem. Like, it's not, it doesn't just happen in football. We see it and hear it everywhere. And I know in Scotland we've got a unique kind of thing of with religion as well. Like, it just needs all to go, and it's just a bad advert for society, football as a whole. It just needs to go, and it's just the days for them it should never be happening in the first place in any era, but especially now when we've got a lot more equality. We're seeing a lot more kind of being done towards the other things, like other kind of areas of equality and things like that. It just needs to go, and we just need to be a fresher society and just be more equal. That's just the reality, and that's just where I wish we get to. But we'll get back to the football. We'll touch on the other game yesterday. Livingston 0, St Mirren 1. A goal from Ethan Errejón, which is a great goal, gives St Mirren a 5-game unbeaten run. Callum, St Mirren get the result, but they have to thank their goalkeeper, who probably put in one of the best performances of the week, keeping Livingston out, because I thought Livingston played really good stuff, but Jack Annick was excellent yesterday, I thought.
Yeah, he made a as you say, he made a couple of great saves. The thing is, everybody going away to Livingston, another tough place to go. To go away and get a 1-0 victory, it's a good result. It puts St Mirren up a bit. Livingston, we brought it up on the first 3 games we brought up on. Another team who I think will struggle this season. St Mirren, they played well. Both teams had good chances. Shots on goal. I think there was not a penalty chance for Livingston early in the game. About 20-30 minutes in, was there not a penalty chance or something? But as I say, Livingston at home against St Mirren, 2 kind of even teams closer to the bottom half of the table, should maybe be picking up at least a draw at 3 points. But as you say, Jack Annick had a good few saves to make, so I think St Mirren will be delighted with a 3 points on the road.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've phrased that really well there. Livingston 0, St Mirren 1. Charlie, what was your overall thoughts on the game?
Yeah, just to echo what Callum says, I think Jack Annick was the star performer. He seems to be doing very, very well. Again, who will probably putting his stamp on that first team jersey for long and weary. Can they keep hold of him with regards to there? But the big thing that's coming from this game is that any game at Livingston doesn't seem to be a good flowing game of football for whatever reason. Sometimes the pitch, but sometimes the way Livingston to just sit in there. They obviously, the goalkeeper, who was very good last week, but again, threw the ball into the back of the net for them. I've said it before to you, Scott, and I'll say it again. I think Livingston will struggle big time now. They played to their strengths when they had Lyndon Dykes up there. I just don't see them having. They're bringing a midfielder, Shinnie. Okay, he'll work hard. He'll do things as a natural goal scorer, playing left midfield and then playing as a striker. It's a big ask for the player, and as long as you go without scoring, the confidence goes. And if you're not scoring, you look around and you see conceding those types of goals. It's a very, very long and lonely road. And as much as the manager's there, Martindale's there to try and take the hit, his honeymoon period is over, and he's now going to have to earn his corn. But I don't think Livingston will be. I think they'll either be the automatic relegation or they'll be in the playoff. But it will definitely be between Livingston, Ross County and Dundee.
I think that as well. I think as well with Livingston, as you say, they've never really, as you made a good point, they've never really replaced Dykes. And I think although they beat Celtic and they play the same way, it's very compact. It's very just keep the players out for as much as possible. Keep the game tight, and it's if you lose a goal, it becomes.
It's as if, Scott. It's as if they're setting up to defend and not be defeated at the moment.
Aye, and
it doesn't matter who they play, whether they go away or whether they're at home. It's as if they're setting up behind the ball not to be defeated. No. And if we get one chance, can we take it?
And I think as well, and I know probably a few Livingston fans maybe won't thank me for this, but they have punched above their weight in recent years. Like they are staying in the league's their ultimate objective. But the past couple of years, they've finished top 6. And is it now a case of that it's kind of reached the level where it's kind of now going to be just survive? And they've lost a lot of players as well. Obviously, Dykes away to QPR. There's a couple of players left as well. It seems to me as well that there's a lot of, like Andy Shinnie, I think a lot of the load's going to go on him because of his experience in that, and it's fair enough and things like that. But you need, obviously Jeremiah Thomas as well, who's a big player for them last season. They don't have that anymore. They need to bring in a couple of players who have that experience and have that kind of ability to change a game. Sort of what, like, maybe we'll touch a bit on, like, Motherwell as well. They brought Tony Watts there. He's a player with a lot of experience. They've got that striker, and I think a lot of these teams need that kind of striker to just get them out of the hole.
Yeah, the two players you mentioned previously there for Livingston, Scott, are both above 6 foot. So when you're sitting with two banks of 4 and you get the ball in your 18-yard, you've got that target man to hit. And they'll hold the ball up, and we probably defined Livingston with that style of play, and you had the runners off it. Forrest hasn't really come in and hit the ground running at the moment. It's not as if they're creating chance after chance after chance in that style. But then again, what is Livingston's style of play at this present moment in time? It's sit in, but we haven't got the target man to hit. So how do we get out there? And then it's just phase after phase after phase.
Yeah, definitely. But obviously they played well yesterday and just were unlucky with the result. But we'll move into the two games today. We'll start off with Pittodrie, the early kick-off. Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2. Furuhashi gave Celtic the lead, and then just after half-time, Lewis Ferguson brought Aberdeen level. A late winner from Jota gave Celtic the 3 points. Charlie, we spoke a lot during the week about Ange Postecoglou and his ability to change the game, and we thought, did Celtic lack character? to go and get results and dig deep and get a win. They did it today, and it was a tough game, as we keep saying, a tough place to go, but they got the 3 points, and it was a massive win for Celtic. And could this be the start of a wee run for them?
Yeah, I don't doubt for a minute Celtic's character, and I wouldn't doubt anybody playing football that they don't have the right character with regards to there. What I do doubt with Celtic is the ability to defend, and the continuous ability to defend and defend and defend. And I was doing a wee bit of research, and we were talking about Ange Postecoglou. If you imagine Brazil of the 80s were a team, well, if you score 3, we'll score 4.
Mm-hmm.
If you score 5, we'll score 6. And that seems to be his stamp on it at the moment. But Celtic are they're no firing in cylinders as well, with obviously with Furush, what's his name? Kyogo Furuhashi. Yeah, as long as now that he's coming back, it's a big, massive burden for a striker to carry a club. Yeah. And yes, it's a great result for them because they've dug in. But the stats are Celtic had 2 shots and goals and scored. Aberdeen had 1 shot and goal and scored.
Aye.
And you've got to kind of weigh up that side of things. Sometimes the 3 points is better than anything else. You blow the stats out the window because we're away down the road with the 3 points. Is it a turning point? Well, they go to Motherwell next game after
they've got a hard run of fixtures as well, but it's a thing where they can really make that a stepping stone of that. We push for that. They've obviously the 2 European games that were obviously disappointing Thursday night, but I think they go to Hibs as well. Am I right? I think they go somewhere else before the end of the month, and I think they go to Hibs, and there's a lot of pressure on Celtic at the moment, and I think as well, I'll bring Callum in this as well.
But scraping a 2-1 away win against Aberdeen in their current form at the moment, it's not really the box office result, if that's the right word to use.
I thought though, see when Furuhashi scored, it was a terrific goal. I was telling everybody as well when I was talking to Furuhashi's movement is remarkable.
He's a fantastic player.
There's a lot you can tell just his intelligence as well. The thing I like as well, IQ, he knows where to be. It's a terrific ball for Turnbull, but he knows where to go. That's the thing as well I like about Furuhashi. And obviously,
he's a striker. I remember Craig Brown telling me this. Craig, as a striker, once you see the defender's number, you've got him.
Aye.
And that's one thing he does. He goes left and then he just comes away right and he's there. And the centre half doesn't know where he is. He bang, goal.
Yeah. Callum, what was your thoughts on Celtic's victory over Aberdeen?
Yeah, obviously it's a 3 points on the road, but as Charlie said, brought it up about the defending. I just think you have said it on here before. I know I've not been on quite a lot, but I've listened to it. It seems to be every week. It seems to be crossed balls that Celtic cannot defend from. The ball comes in, and I think someone goes to win at the front post, and the ball, Lewis Ferguson, it doesn't even hit it that hard. The guy in the front post can't get it, and Joe Hart can't even go towards it. It's the same situation every weekend. Obviously, the second goal they scored, you haven't mentioned that yet, but the second goal they scored is a great goal. The ball comes across to the left-hand side and it goes right across the box, and Jota just taps it in. It's the 2 goals Celtic scored. Obviously, they're 2 great goals. The goal they concede, it's calamitous. It's just the same situation every week. If they were to sort that out, though, I think if they do sort that out, they'll go on a great run of form. We all know what Celtic can do. Going forward, they just, as you say, the guy Furuhashi, he'll get Celtic goals. He'll create chances. Away to Aberdeen is never easy, but Aberdeen haven't been on the best run of form. I think is that only is that maybe the 4th game they've scored in this season?
Yeah,
something like that. So
you've got stats there, haven't you? You're up
cheers.
To date.
But I think as you say, Celtic will struggle with that all season, no matter what team they come up against, if they can't stop conceding goals. That's the main issue for Celtic.
Yeah, the second goal as well. The winning goal was a terrific goal. Obviously, when Tom, I think that's exactly where Tom Rogic is your guy to bring on. I don't think
come on and change the game.
Aye, and I think as well, the one of the things I had with Celtic at the past few weeks was Turnbull and Rogic seem to be very similar in the regard. I think they're too similar to play together in a two-man midfield. Obviously, McCarthy was playing behind McGregor, done it today. I think playing that kind of holding midfielder with McGregor and maybe Turnbull when you bring Rogic on, he changed the game, as Callum said. It's a terrific piece of movement and terrific pass into Montgomery, who lays it into a brilliant position for Jota to put the winner in.
But if you've got a brilliant striker running and moving, put me in the middle of the park and I would look great putting balls through to him.
Aye.
Sometimes it's always not only the person on the ball, it's the off the ball movement that makes it with regards to then. And if you've got a guy like wee Kyogo, he's one of the guys you're thinking to yourself, thank God he's in our team. Thank God he will look at him because we can give him the ball inside the box. He can create that yard. But what the point I was going to try and make is that John Kennedy was a fantastic defender. Mm-hmm. So why can and obviously know John personally, but why can he no coach to defend? Why can they no? I remember somebody else was a fantastic defender, but they were leaking goals. Why can he no coach that? Because he should know where everything should be with regards to that side. So that's probably the frustrating thing for Celtic supporters at the moment, albeit they maybe no want to see the two people there. But he was a fantastic defender in his day prior to his injury from there.
Definitely.
I think the thing you're talking about though is, as you say, John Kennedy learns obviously coaches him to defend. I think Julian is a big miss. I know he's been out. I don't know how long he's been out for. I think it's about 3 or 4 months. But that's a man in your defence that you need. Juranovic, is he tall enough to be a centre half? I don't think. Juranovic. Sorry. I think Welsh obviously in your team as well. Welsh isn't experienced enough as like Julian is. I think Julian's a big miss. Obviously, I think he's about 6'4". You're completely right in what you're saying, Charlie. I mean, I understand that he was a defender, but balls into the box it's been like this for years for Celtic, 3 or 4 years. I agree with what you're saying 100%. But I think when Julian comes back fit, I think things might change for them. So, but it's just one of the things. I mean, Julian's not in the team, but have they signed in a good enough centre half to defeat that purpose of cross balls?
Jury's still out, but it's a massive win for Celtic. We can't take nothing away. It's one of those results. Obviously, when you're coming off a really poor run, losing 3 away games in a row, you need that win. To go to Pittodrie and win 2-1. It's always a massive bonus. But Aberdeen, we'll touch on them quickly as well, Charlie. It's not looking good, isn't it? And what is the solution? I thought as well, when Brown went off, you could see there was a massive the presence missing. Like when Brown went off, I thought there wasn't the same intensity, and I think that did lead to them kind of going out the game a bit, because I thought until Brown went off, I thought they were really, really on top of Celtic in the second half.
The second half, they really come on and player you mentioned, Brown, he'll drive anybody forward from there. And if you've got somebody beside you who at that age is working his backside off and everything, then you need to be working your backside off as well. That drives other people on. How many times have we saw teams who've got 3 or 4 players as passengers because there's nothing for there. I don't know. We spoke about it last week or the week before, Scott. Is Glass trying to do something completely different? And the players are maybe we don't understand, because it's all right in the training field when you can step through, but in game scenarios, have they got that kind of mentality thinking of what they're trying to do? Does he need to go just strip it back to basics? I heard his interview in the wireless when we were obviously driving up, and he says they're no far away. Maybe in the 35 minutes of the second half, they didn't look far away, but they didn't create chance after chance after chance. And Aberdeen at the moment, they're sitting ninth. It's the worst start they've had for up 10 years. They really need to go on a run and pick up points, because, again, you speak about the St Johnstone fans. The Aberdeen fans, they'll be expecting them to be top six. They'll be expecting them to be third, fourth.
And I think it's similar to the situation as you see it, like Celtic as well. Like, new manager, new philosophy. You've got to give it time to get it right and get it implemented fully. But there's only so much the fans can accept. And I think as well, similar as Aberdeen had many years with Derek McInnes, where they were maybe not making that next step to go and challenge, but they were stable. There was that stability of we're in a comfortable position. We're always going to be there or thereabouts. And I think that's Aberdeen fans, I don't think will accept that kind of mediocrity for a wee while, which maybe comes when you're rebuilding a team, because a lot of players in there that have come in the past kind of 12 months, like some Bates, obviously Brown, Ramirez has came through, Calvin Ramsey's broke through. There's a lot of players there who haven't been there for, are only just kind of, they're all gelling. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of patience. But again, in Scottish football, with Aberdeen, we know that their history and things like that. Does it get that time? Does the
manager need to go in? Because I remember listening to Scott Robinson, when Robinson came into Motherwell, and he says, I wanted to do this, but I knew I had to stay in the league, so I had to forget about my plans and just go and play 4-4-2 and get results and do it for that. So does Stephen turn around and say at the moment, I forget what this wonderful philosophy I'm trying to play, and just go back and steady the ship and say, right, let's try and get a couple of victories, a couple of points on the board, and then still in the background, still trying to work on whatever he's trying to play. I don't think we see Aberdeen playing differently from the Derek McInnes days at the moment.
I'd agree with you.
Then for that.
Callum, you want to add in Aberdeen before we move on to the last game?
Yeah, I think obviously 4 defeats in the bounce. They've not won a game since August. The last one came against the team in the Europa League qualifiers. As you are both saying, it's going to be a struggle unless, just Charlie says, unless they try and change something. Go back to what Charlie was saying about Scott Robinson. Do the same as he did. Try and make sure they can get wins. The thing is with Aberdeen, they want to be pushing Hearts and Hibs for third and fourth for the Europa League spots. If they don't start now, I think you could be looking the start of November, and Stephen Glass will not be there for much longer if they don't get results. So I think it's tough. Obviously, Celtic is not an easy team to face, but I think if they don't start getting results, I don't think he'll be there come Christmas. So I think they need to start getting results, or it could be curtains for Stephen Glass.
We'll move on to the final game of the weekend in the Premiership, which took place at Ibrox. Rangers 2, Hibs 1. A game that was filled with controversy. We've got a question here from a Mr. M. Wilson for Charlie. Charlie, is the Ryan Porteous challenge a red card? This is the $1 million question in our group chat. Wilson wants to know your thoughts.
Right. I'm not shirking this in any way, shape or form, but as you well know, Scott, I was up in Govan the day, 400 yards along for Ibrox, where my daughter was playing at Benbur's Park. But I've only saw a clip that you were wonderfully to furnish it with me with regards to there. To me, it's an opinion decision. It's an opinion. Is it reckless and dangerous, or does it endanger the safety of the player? And I think if you put it to different referees, you may get different reactions for that side. Looking at it, it's not a great clip. It's not a great thing. I'll give you an answer. I think it's a yellow card.
Is the referee at the time maybe saying the speed? Is that why he's maybe gave him a red for it?
But sometimes the speed of the challenge is, looking at Porteous, it doesn't look as if it accelerates into the challenge with regards to there. And also sometimes it's, even though you've won the ball, it's the manner in what you go in to win the ball sometimes as well. For there. So this is I think this decision will probably split a lot of people. I don't think you'll get a lot of people coming out and saying 100% Stonewall red card, 100% Stonewall yellow card. I think you'll get big fluctuation with it because of the type of challenge for there. And a good
So what
point,
happens if that tackle happens in the box? Is that a different
no,
scenario?
Not at all. No, I don't believe in that cliche. In regards to there, you're in the box, you're awarding a penalty kick, and you're saying to yourself, does it follow tick 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 for a yellow, or does it follow tick 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 for a red? For there, I don't think if you put that clip at meetings with referees, I don't think you would get a unanimous across the board of whether it would be all for red or all for yellow. I think you would get a varying split of some people think it's a yellow card, some people think it's a red card.
Well, that was my thoughts at first. When I first seen it live, I watched the game live, and the first instance I thought, yeah, it's a red. I thought immediately it's a red. Saw it slowed down, and you don't come to the same conclusion, but you see it a lot more visually with slow motion. You see that he wins the ball, but my thinking is, if he connects with Joe Aribo, that could be a serious injury, and that's the cliche. Hugh even spoke about it in Radio Clyde when I was on the way up the road. You're giving the referee a decision to make when you're going up with the studs, and that's the thing. And if you're going up with the studs, I don't know the rule specifically. I always lean to you, Charlie, for refereeing decisions. I think if you go up with your studs in the air, whether you win the ball or not, you're running the risk of giving the referee a decision to make. And
he's making that decision based on, is he endangering the safety of the player? That's the first and foremost. He's looking at it from that point, because if it's reckless and dangerous, then he'll be looking towards the yellow card. But if he endangers the safety of the player by the speed of the challenge, the actual what chances he got in winning the ball, and for there, and also the way the foot and for that side of things. In fairness, am I right in saying that he doesn't lunge in?
It's not as if
he's on the ground.
Yeah,
he's on the ground and sliding.
I think his boot goes up towards Aribo's shin.
Right.
I think that's how, as you're saying, is it on the ground? I think he was up maybe just below his knee, maybe not as far up as that, but I think that's where he was. I was the opposite to what Scott said there a minute ago about at first he thought it was a red card. I thought at first it was actually quite a good challenge,
right?
Because you see everybody looking, and obviously in the crowd you see them all shouting and everything, but Ryan Porteous just runs on as if he didn't make a bad challenge. But then you do see the replay, and you do see the foot going up towards the shin area. I was opposite to what Scott said about at first I thought it was a good challenge, and then you see it the second time you think it's worse than what it looked at first. So I don't know your opinion on that.
I think it's going to be one of those ones that, again, as Charlie points out, you'll never get a total agreement on this. Like we probably all came to a different conclusion just seeing it. I know maybe we've seen it more than you've seen it, Charlie, but
what I will do, and I'll not shirk it in any way, shape or form, is I'll stay up late tonight and I'll watch the sports scene highlights, and I'll then give you a wee message ping to give you my decision when I see it in real time happening in the first.
Aye, I think as well, it's one of those things, and there's a big thing as well. Obviously, Hibs are leading the game at this point, and a red card is always going to change a game. And would it be different? Would the result have been different if they're living in the park? We don't know. It's if, buts, and maybes. But up until the sending off, I thought Hibs were by far the better team. By far the better team.
I'll take a wee quote from, as we heard for here. Obviously, when Porteous went off, Allen was sacrificed.
Yes.
What influence did he have in the game at that particular time?
Well, I thought a lot of the play was going through Allen, and I thought a lot of the play was going through Martin Boyle. And I think they kind of went with, I would say they kind of went with two up front to begin with. It was kind of like a 3-5-2, and then it was like, but they moved Boyle wide. And I thought there was a bit of a difference with that. They didn't have that midfield threat, and I thought at times a lot of the kind of play was getting when they were going wide. I thought a lot of the play was just being cut short by Rangers. I thought Rangers came into it a lot in the second half, to be fair, but Hibs were the far better team until the red card, and it just shows you that it changes the game completely. And again, you're sacrificing a midfielder for a defender. It completely changes the way of the game, and it did. And I think that's the thing as well. Like, would the result have been different if Porteous had been on the park? That's what we don't know. But we'll touch a bit on, obviously, Rangers obviously getting a result. Roof and Morelos get the 2 goals for Rangers in the second half. Rangers return to the top of the table. Callum, it's not been a great watch for Rangers supporters in the past few weeks. We obviously is there a bit of tiredness there? Is there a kind of hangover for last season? I've kind of spoke about that in the show the past couple of weeks, but it's a big result. It's a big result, beating Hibs at home, not playing well. Must be a big advantage going into an international break, the top of the table.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, any Rangers, they want 3 points no matter who they're playing or where they're playing. The thing is, if you watch Rangers for the goal they concede, it's, we talked about Celtic's defensive problems in the previous game we spoke about. The defending for the goal that they concede is it's absolutely horrendous. I mean, the ball comes in, Barisic tries to stop the cross. No matter, he's got to get his foot out seriously quicker and try and stop the cross coming in. Nisbet, it's a great goal. Don't take it away from Nisbet. It's a great header, an absolute great finish. But the goal they concede, there's 2 players marking him, so they say on the telly. The 2 players marking him, Lundstrom and Goldson, they're a considerable height. I mean, we spoke about it when we were watching it. I have never seen Connor Goldson and Liam Balogun dominate the box for Rangers at the defensive side. Connor Goldson, yeah, he scores headers going forward, but at the back, I have never seen him go and demand the box. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's just the way I look at it. I mean, the 2 goals you score, it's 2 cross balls again. Three goals from 3 cross balls. The thing is, I've said it to you hundreds of times, Scott, the amount of time when the last international break came around, Rangers were going to rest and try and get back to a structure and try and kick on from there. They didn't do that after the last international break. Will they do it this time? It's believe what we'll see. But I think it just looks good. They're still winning, which is a bonus for them. But they're not winning pretty. Maybe that will be the case for the full season. We don't know, but they're still winning. So Rangers fans probably can't complain, but probably will. But the thing is, they're still winning, so we can't really say too much. So,
Charlie, obviously you've been in an era like I was at the end of that when Rangers were winning by odd goals and winning 13 things like that. I'm used to seeing that, but when you've dominated a season the way they did last year, they've called it relentless. They were relentless. They were winning games comfortably. They were scoring goals for fun, especially at home. When does that become difficult to maintain when you're winning ugly, but you've got the ability? These players are capable of so much better. You see, like Aribo, Hadji, even Kamara, they're so much better than what they're showing this season. What do you think is the reason that Rangers only maybe at the level they were last season?
Two things. I think the first thing is that it's easier to win the championship. It's more difficult to retain it. And I think they're seeing that maybe at this moment in time. Because last year, when they played in Europe, they played some really good football, and they come back and played domestically and played good, or ground out the result from that side. So we're seeing maybe that mentality that it's always difficult to retain something. And last year, without the crowds, there was a wee bit more freedom to play. Whereas now, there's maybe when you make a mistake or when there's the crowd on your back, which stifles people a wee bit with regards to there. And the other thing is, and it will come to every team, the past couple of weeks, months, there's a wee bit outbreak of COVID. And I don't know the medical side of things, but I think that has a massive hit on you as an individual side of things. So whilst you may look good and look fit, you might not be operating in 100% for that side. So there might be a wee bit of tiredness. You know what it's like sometimes when you've had a weekend and you think, God, I'm going to come down with something here, and you've got to try and pick yourself up on a Monday to go into your work all jovial and things for there. So I think there's maybe a wee bit of that, and I think there's also a wee bit of crowds on my back and the difficulty to retain something.
I think I've said that for a few weeks. I think there is this hangover for last season. I think it's difficult to maintain the level, and I've said as well, I know I've kind of had it.
You saw it, Scott, sorry. You saw it with Liverpool. You know what I mean? Liverpool last season blew everybody away. Fantastic side of things, and all of a sudden now it's just no clicking, etc., etc. So I think it's always the second season. You judge everything with the second season of teams, of managers, of players and stuff. And I think we're just starting to see that.
I think as well, you saw the day just the relief of Gerrard and a lot of the players just to get that result, because that was a massive test today, and especially when you're not playing well, when you're coming up against the team kind of rivaling you at the top just now, who started really well. Hibs and Hearts have been tremendous, but Hibs, I've always been a fan of the way they play under Jack Ross, but that's a big result.
Is it not Hibs' first defeat?
I think it is,
Yeah.
I think it is.
And what'll also is score for the Hibs fans is what you said earlier, Scott, that they played two up front. We're going to Ibrox and we're playing two up front. We're going for it. And it showed for there. And then obviously, as you say, it turns in the decision, which hopefully I'll see later on.
Yeah.
But then there is the we need to get this. And again, Hibs have came, they've played two up front, they've went 1-0 up, and then at the 90 minutes, we're coming away with a 2-1 victory, which would be a major scalp, because there'll be one, if not the closest rivals to you.
Yeah,
up until the sending. Sorry, Scott.
On you go.
No, up until the sending off. As soon as the first whistle went, Hibs didn't sit in. Hibs didn't come. They chased Rangers. They put them under pressure. Normally, you see clubs coming to Ibrox and Parkhead, etc., coming and sitting in behind the ball. Hibs went and pressed Rangers, and for the first, since the sending off, Hibs were night and day compared to what Rangers were in the first half an hour it was. They looked as if they could have went and scored a couple of extra goals and put Rangers under a severe amount of pressure. They didn't sit in. They pressed Rangers and they put Rangers under real pressure. They made Rangers struggle with the ball. But the thing is, Hibs are a good enough side to go and do that at Ibrox and Parkhead, stuff like that. So I think if the sending off didn't happen, I think Hibs probably still would have won the game and went on and probably dominated the second half. I know Rangers will come out in the second half and obviously come out a bit better, but I still think Hibs would have won it. I just think in the first half an hour, Rangers were nowhere near what Hibs were. Hibs were in, their intensity was good. I just think that's just my opinion on it. I think the first 25 minutes I was really impressed with how Hibs came out and didn't sit in.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Hibs were far better in the first half. I think Gerrard, when he brought Roof on, I thought it gave them a bit more direct threat, and I thought it did change the game. Obviously,
but would they have done that though if they had 11 men?
Probably not. Well, probably would have. They brought Roof on at some point, but what would they have done it differently? I don't know. But you're talking there about cross balls. There was two terrific crosses into Roof and Morelos, and I thought Parson was excellent today as well.
Yeah,
I think
Parson played well.
Is the international break coming at the right time for Rangers just to get that, as Callum says, but we thought we'd see in after September, getting your players like Kent back, who's a big miss. I think Kent's a big miss, even when he's not playing well, because he's wanting on the ball, he wants to create things, and Rangers need that.
It's a wee bit of kind of myth type of thing. It's an international break, so we'll get a rest. But a lot of Rangers and Celtic players are flying, and particularly now, they're not just flying 3 and 4 hours, they're flying 10, 11, 12 hours to places now. So that'll have a drain on you as well.
I think a few Rangers players in Nigeria, if I'm not wrong.
Depending what their qualifiers are with regards to it's World Cup qualifiers, isn't it?
World Cup,
across the thing. I'm thinking the Euros. No. So they'll be away. They'll be doing it with regards to there. So sometimes they're getting people rest. The international break is good for your injured players who are just there or thereabouts. Then we can work in them and we can do it for that side of things.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll touch on the results in the Championship quickly. We'll ask everybody the result of the weekend. Morton 2, Arbroath 2, Hamilton 2, Inverness 1, Kilmarnock 1, Raith Rovers 3, Partick Thistle 4, Ayr United 0, and Queen of the South 1, Dunfermline 0. Storylines for the weekend: Kilmarnock and Inverness, both two of the top teams in the league, both losing. Big Kilmarnock losing at home to Raith as well. Big wins for Raith, Partick and Hamilton. Charlie, what was your result of the weekend in the Championship?
Result of the weekend, unanimously, hands down, Hamilton, with 10 men, holding on to beat Inverness Cali. But a great result.
Badly needed as well.
Badly needed it. Particularly, majority as I've got Inverness Cali going down there to give them a good thumping. Having no conceded goals, etc. Good away for him. Dodgy's got them organised and structured. But Hamilton, fair dues. They come out early, scored early. Player gets sent off. I can't mind what it was for, but they hung on. Then Inverness scored late on. It was about 70 odd. They got the one back, so they must have been backs to the wall for there. So that's a great result for Stuart Taylor. Hopefully, again, that'll kick him up the table. Well, it moves him. It moves him from 9th to 8th.
It's a big 3 points as well, beating the league
massive,
leaders.
massive.
Callum, what was your result? What was your result of the weekend in the Championship?
My result of the weekend was Kilmarnock 1, Raith 3. I'm just saying that. Your co-host Mark Wilson, to see what his reaction will be. Obviously, that's two games now without a win for Kilmarnock. To go to have Raith are not in a bad form, but I just wanted to say that to see what Mark Wilson's reaction will be.
It's a big result for Raith Rovers, especially when you consider Kilmarnock. I mean, we all thought Kilmarnock would squish the league, and it's not proving as easy.
I think they've just sold their striker, did they not? And his Cameron, I think, is it not just left?
No, he's on loan to Queen of the South. Yes,
he's on loan. Callum Henry came in as well from St Johnstone. He scored just for Kilmarnock, but it's a big result for Raith. I think Rory's got Raith to win the league, so it's a big result for them. My result
is kicking themselves for their midweek result.
Aye, exactly.
They should have taken the points off of Dunfermline, but fairness to Dunfermline for pegging them back. But John McGlynn's a good. You see the way they play football. He gets them. He gets them going well, and he picks out these 1 and 2 wee gems in the middle of the park, and gets them working with the experience, and then getting that ultimate striker to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I'm going for Partick 4, Ayr 0. I thought, again, Jim Duffy obviously getting the job permanently at Ayr.
That was a surprise to me.
Aye, I remember you saying that. You were kind of surprised that he was in there, but Ian McCall obviously knows Ayr well, but to go there, and Partick will be wanting to cause a wee maybe not an upset, but Partick will be wanting to make a noise at the top of the league, and that's a big step for them. Obviously, Zach Rudden with a double as well. We know him at Rangers, who's probably in the best place for him to get the kind of step up in the league he needs. But he's Partick Thistle going at home winning 4-0. It's a massive boost for them. But League One, we'll touch on League One quickly. Airdrie 2, Clyde 1, Alloa 1, Cove Rangers 3. Falkirk 2, East Fife 1, Peterhead 5, Dumbarton 0, Queen's Park 1, Montrose 1. Now, if there's a result to sum up how tight League One's going to be this season, Peterhead 5, Dumbarton 0. I didn't see that coming. Charlie, what's your thoughts?
Bottom of the table, Peterhead.
Bottom of the table, Peterhead. That league is going to be a brilliant league to watch all season, isn't it, Charlie?
Yeah, definitely, because Queen's Park, a lot of financial support, obviously, with what happened with them in regards to them.
Yeah.
Cove Rangers, financial support. Falkirk, financial support full-time in regards to there. So you've then got Airdrie, Dumbarton, Montrose. Montrose are dropping away a wee bit there for a couple of...
drew one each today with Queen's Park.
They drew one each today, yeah, that's right, for there. So, yeah, it just... The funny thing about it is every league is every league seems to be tight. You think to yourself, "Oh, they're going to run away with it." But when you think of no, everybody thought Cove Rangers would come in and move up straight away. Queen's Park have obviously come up, invested heavily with experience inside. So them and Cove are together in the points, and then 3 points behind is Falkirk with regards to there. So yeah, Peterhead, and it's not just 1-0. I mean, it's a right good thumping.
Aye. And the Barton were on a great run as well up until then, but Peterhead had a massive push for Jim McInally to get a result there. Callum, result of the weekend in the Championship?
I'm going Cove Rangers 3, Alloa 1. Alloa, man sent off in the first minute of the game.
I think that was the quickest sending off in Scottish football history. I'm right in saying it was 25 seconds.
It was not 30 seconds or something.
Something like that.
I think, obviously I've not seen it back yet, but whether it's sending off your man on the show tonight, we've not seen it, but to get a sending off in the first minute of the game, what are you thinking in that minute of the game to go and get sent off? Obviously it's tough. They managed to score, obviously, but it wasn't enough. So 3-1 Cove Rangers, my result of the week.
Yeah, Rory McAllister got a hat-trick as well. He's a massive player for them. And
see the difference. See the funny thing about it with that, Callum, when you say, a sending off in 25 seconds, I say, what's the mentality? How have the players left that dressing room? I remember good old Terry Butcher and Maurice Malpass at Motherwell.
There's some names, yeah.
See when the players come out the dressing room, it was as if, remember the wee toys you used to get the keys and just put them into your back and then take them out and let them go. And you had the guys like Scott Leach, and you had Hamill, and you had Big Jim Thingy up front, and who's the assistant manager at the moment? Keith Lasley. They were all running about the park, kicking everything. And see, within about 2 or 3 minutes, you're like, that guys, hey, I've brought a ball out. Do you want to try and kick this? For there. So it just shows you sometimes how have the players left that dressing room.
Maybe a pep talk has done them. Maybe the manager's done it on overdone their pep talk and just went out and bad challenge in the first 30 seconds of the game.
Aye.
We'll touch on League Two as well. Edinburgh City won, I beg your pardon. Edinburgh City won, Kelvin 1 was on Friday night. Elgin 0, Stirling 2, Kelty Hearts 2, Annan 1. Stenhousemuir 1, Forfar 1, and Stranraer 1, Albion Rovers 0. Callum, give us your result of the weekend in League Two.
I'm going Stranraer 1, Albion Rovers 0. Stranraer needed it. I think they were sitting 8th before the game. They've got them up to 6 now. It's not a big boost, but 1-0 should hopefully for them boost their chances for the season, upcoming season. But Albion Rovers, I think, will be disappointed going away and not getting at least a draw, because I think they had some great chances in the game looking at the game. So I think it'll be disappointed for them. But obviously 1-0 win at home for Stranraer's 3 points and gets them going. So 1-0 Stranraer.
I'm going with Stirling 2, Stirling 2, Elgin 0. That's a massive result again for Kevin Rutkowicz, who's been on the show, friend of the show. Brilliant result. Obviously, they are going second in the league. They'll be wanting to chase Kelty as well, who they'll be really, really keen to get on their heels. But again, Kelty will win 2-1. But I'm going with Stirling. Terrific win for them. That continues their good run. Charlie, what was your result of League Two?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in your bandwagon, pal. For things that will become pretty announced in a wee while. Stirling. Stirling would probably go up. It's a difficult place to go, Elgin.
They're all difficult places to go.
Stirling would begin up there, hoping for Annan to do them a favour. Then for there, they probably won they want in Kelty, and they probably won they want in a draw. They were probably wanting Annan to win, which would have took them to 18 and kind of closed the gap side of things. So going up to Elgin and winning 2-0 to keep the pressure on. And now there's 4, so it's 23 to 19 between Kelty and Stirling, and there's now 4 between Stirling and Annan. So that kind of bridges a gap now, which gives Stirling a wee bit of a breathing space.
Yeah,
see the assistant manager up there, James Craney.
Yes.
At Stirling. Is that the James Craney that played with Linlithgow?
I think so.
Is it? Right.
So I'm sure it is. Another terrific weekend of Scottish football. We have international break coming up, so we've got the Scotland games in the next 2 weeks. We have Scotland at home to Israel and away to the Faroe Islands. Charlie, Scotland have put themselves in a really good position to get at least second place. This is the game. These are the 2 games they need to go and badly win. Home to Israel, away to the Faroe Islands. This is a 6-pointer.
100%. 100%. Nothing else will be acceptable, I don't think, because the Israel, we've played them so many times now.
300 times in the past 2 years.
We know what they're like. We know what they're set up. We're lucky enough to beat them, etc. So home crowd in at Hampden, we must give the crowd something to lift them and keep behind us. And away to the Faroe, I hope it's not the stumbling block. I hope it's not the Kazakhstan, etc., etc. We go there and we just cement it. We've got to take 6 points to keep that pressure on. I don't know the other fixtures with that, but I think we would all assume that Denmark's going to go and take it.
Denmark play Austria. And Scotland play the surely do. Aye.
So we're thinking that Denmark's going to take the group. They're going to go ahead and Denmark, take the group. Because I think the last fixture is home Scotland Denmark.
Aye, they're home to Denmark.
So hopefully the group will be decided. I'm not saying Denmark are going to lie down to us in any way, shape, or form, but you're thinking that the table's over for them. They've qualified for there. But this is you know that way you always see about there's the control point in a game for refereeing. This is the points in the bag for the Scotland qualification. If we don't come out here with 6 points, I think we can see the tables turning. Stevie Clapton needs to win comfortably against Israel, 2-0 or something like that, but then go to the Faroes and really put in a performance and come back with 3, 4, and 5-0 result.
Yeah, but it's badly needed to. This is the kind of, they put themselves in a good position. That win against Austria has just made this vital to get the points. Callum, give us your thoughts on Scotland's 2 games coming up against Israel and the Faroe Islands.
I'm just going to second exactly what Charlie says. 6 points from 2 games. That's what we need. The thing is as well, to get at home to Israel first.
Home to Israel and then away to the Faroes. Yep.
Away to the Faroes. Well, you probably prefer them to be at home, but both at home. But one and away to Austria. The last 3 wins, 3 games that you want to win. The next 2 coming up. They're 2 games that Scotland should be winning. I have all confidence in them to go and do it though. 100%. I mean, I don't worry one bit. So 2 wins is what Scotland need. As Charlie says, the game against Denmark could be if Austria start winning and come close to Scotland, it could be an issue at that point. But 2 wins for 2 games is what Scotland need, and I think that's what they'll get. So I'm full confidence in Scotland to go and get the 2 wins.
Yeah, I'll echo what you say. I think that's two games they need to badly win. I have full confidence that they'll win both. I think as well, home to Israel, just get Israel beat and then hopefully never see them again, because they've played them so many times. It's beginning to feel like it's just Scotland, Israel every kind of international break. But it's 2 big games. But we'll obviously have kind of coverage on that during the week. We'll be making wee predictions and things like that all during the kind of upcoming shows and things like that. But we've got a wee interesting point. It's quite good we've got Charlie on to talk about this. Obviously, we've heard the news this week that potentially this could be the time where VAR, video assistant refereeing, could be implemented in Scottish football. There's meetings and summits set, I believe, with the kind of governing bodies and kind of SFA, SPFL. I think a few of the clubs are meeting as well. Yeah. Charlie, it's probably the kind of taboo with Scottish football. We know how it's implemented in England maybe isn't right and isn't fully effective, but we have seen it work. And referees, I think, I've always kind of thought this as well, and you'll maybe agree or disagree, but I've always thought the standard of refereeing in Scotland could be improved, and is this the thing that could do it? Is it the right time to kind of move with the times and get this technology in to give the referees more help when it comes to making big decisions?
Unanimously, yes, and every referee in Scotland wants it, and the reason they want it is for 7 guys. There's 7 guys in the FIFA international list. And if we don't have VAR, then those guys are no going to be considered for later stages of the major tournaments, the Champions League games, the Europa League games, etc., etc. And now they've obviously brought it into the World Cup qualifiers and the Euro qualifiers. You're not going to be involved in that. There's nothing worse than going away as a team of officials and they're split between countries. Now, albeit Scotland and England, the language barrier is not a problem unless you come from Auchinleck and somebody comes from Newcastle. Not only joking for there. So you want to go away as a team for there. Now, will it improve the standard of refereeing? That's a hypothetical question, but what it will do is it will cut down in the clear and obvious refereeing errors. And that's what VAR is to do. We are unfortunately looking at it in the English Premiership, and I think personally they use it incorrectly because some decisions are opinion decisions. And if the referee makes that on-field opinion decision, then leave it. You saw it working fantastically well in the Euro Championships.
Yeah.
And the amount of games where there was VAR reviews was quite a lot, but the amount of overchanged decisions were very few and far between. And that's why FIFA have now took the reins of bringing VAR to the countries who are not financially better off. And it's called VAR Light.
Right.
And it's a different financial package where you're not getting the all singing, all dancing, but you're getting a good coverage in order to do the job well. And I believe it's Howard Webb who has been challenged with looking after this part of the Europe in order to deliver it and get it to go through. In Scotland, we need to. I've always said it will come. When it will come, it's just a matter of time. And now FIFA have, with their committee, have said the financial restraints of the all singing, all dancing can't be met by some countries. So now we've scaled it back a wee bit. And that's what Howard Webb will come up and he'll talk to the clubs, he'll talk to referees, and he'll tell them about it. And if it's implemented, it's not there to say, so if you're refereeing, Scott, and I'm in the caboose and I'm saying, I've got a different opinion in that decision, come on and have a look at it. It's not there. It's not to do that. There must be a clear and obvious refereeing error. And if it's brought in like that, it will work. It will work and it will work well. And it will also enhance the game of football. If it goes down the avenue of what the English are doing with the difference of opinion, it will cause absolutely mayhem.
Yeah, and that's the problem I've got with it. If it was to be implemented that way in Scotland, I don't think it would help the game. I think it would make. We're having debates tonight about Ryan Porteous, for example. That's we've not came to a definitive conclusion as a panel, the three of us. You're asking if I'm just using this as an example. Say Nick Walsh, who was a referee, is on the pitch, and you've got I'm only Hugh Dallas, for example. Say Hugh Dallas was a man in the VAR room. He comes to a different opinion. Does Nick Walsh change his opinion to go with Hugh Dallas because of that's the way it's been done in England? Because that's the way it looks to me in England, the way it's done.
100%.
That would be very, very, I would say, not dangerous maybe, but it would be a risky thing to do in Scottish football.
Well, you take that example today, and we'll use Nick Walsh and we'll use myself for that. Yeah. So Nick Walsh makes that on-field decision. I review that, and I can't see a clear and obvious refereeing error.
Yes.
And I keep my mouth shut, and we go on with it. And that's how it should work with regards to it. If Nick Walsh issues the yellow card, I can't see a clear and obvious refereeing error. So we go with regards to that side of things. It's only when it's clear and obvious refereeing error. And that also means as well, Scott, is if there's two players that make contact in the box and one goes down and the referee gives a penalty, I still can't get involved in that because there's no clear and obvious error. The contact's been made. How much contact is an opinion decision?
Does that undermine the referee as well when you're kind of changing his mind forcibly? Like, is that always, because very rarely in English football, and we're using English football as an example here because it's probably what we all watch with this implemented, you don't really see the referee going to the screen as much in England. And I think that always looks as if it undermines the referee because it means the referee's changing his mind without really having the evidence to say he's changing it himself. And that's always been my worry with it if it was implemented up here, because I go back to a time, and you might remember this, and I'm not singling out Craig Thompson here because I like Craig Thompson as a guy. Nice. I've spoke to him on one occasion. Very nice guy. Do you remember? And I think it was maybe 10 years ago in the cup final, he gave a penalty. I'm sure it was a Rangers Celtic game. He gave a penalty to Rangers, then changed his mind straight away.
That's right. On this wrong tackle.
That was made a complete, like, that was a news story for days because he changed his mind, and I could see that having a similar effect here. When we know what the media kind of thing, especially with kind of football, how it works up here, that would be a dangerous game, and that's my example here. I'm not singling out Craig Thompson. I'm just saying that's the example I always go to if VAR was implemented, how quickly that changed.
If circumstances, and you need to be aware of circumstances because of various different things. So offsides, VAR are going to look at offside, and they are going to give their decision. So you're not going to see an on-field review on that part of things. Mm-hmm. On-field reviews will be like when goals are scored. Is there any foul play leading up to that goal? Is the penalty? Is it yes or no penalty? And also, is it a red card or mistaken identity from their side of things? So if you tell me, if you're the VAR official and you say, Charlie, you've made a mistake, I want to see that mistake.
Yeah.
I want to go and see that mistake and say, 100%, you've highlighted, I've made a mistake. I'm given, and you see the old rectangle, and I'm given the decision with regards to that side of things.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable just to say, Charlie, you've made a mistake, award the penalty kick, and leave it at that. You want to go across and you want to see how, I've made the mistake. I've clear and obvious refereeing error. I'm happy with that. Bang, it goes with it for that point. Yeah. But what's the point of going across to see the screen when the guy's telling you anyway?
Aye.
But it's the selling, it's the implementation of the protocol.
Mm-hmm. Callum, what's your thoughts on VAR on Scottish football?
I think it would definitely help. Obviously, the thing I'm going to bring up is this only Premiership, the only Premiership for Scotland.
I don't actually know. I've not even heard the
It's going to be used in live broadcasted games.
Right. Okay.
Right. So not home 3 o'clock games like that.
So if your game, and we'll take for example Dundee United versus Ross County yesterday at 3 o'clock with regards to that side of things, there's nothing at the present moment.
Right.
But what you might find is latter stages, there's a possibility to hook up maybe 3 or 4 cameras and look at it to that point. So they're going to start off, I can't mind what they said. Wait till I go back and see.
Also, to add what you're talking about, I know we're talking about Scottish football just now, but I don't know if you watched the Liverpool Man City game earlier on. There was a foul at one point on Bernardo Silva. Milner tackled him and Silva landed on his head. Now, there was talk on the telly whether it was a red card or whether it was a yellow card, but Guardiola went off his head because nothing was given. If the referee doesn't give anything there, should the VAR not be saying, wait, hold on a minute, you missed that, you should be looking at the screen, or you should be... Is that not where that should come into as well?
Only for red card offences, serious foul play.
But is that not something that can change the outcome of the game as well? Like
if the VAR official has identified serious foul play, then he will bring it to the attention to the referee to come and have a look at it with regards to there. The perfect example was the player who unfortunately broke his leg recently.
Harvey Elliott.
Got the tackle. The tackle went in, and all of a sudden 10 minutes, and then we decided it was a red card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But are these? I know we're talking about when you brought up the Charlie about the red cards. Is there no something else? It does annoy me a wee bit why they go red cards and only penalties.
Game-changing decisions, major decisions.
If the referee was to look at it, say for instance a shot was to hit a defender, and there was an opposition player close to the defender, and it hits the actual player on the team that hits the shot, and it goes out for a corner. Do you know what? But should it not look at that, and then they score? They bring the corner in and they score. That changes the outcome of the game as well.
Complicating into that is you'd be doing that.
You're then going to look at the VAR official re-refereeing the game.
Aye,
right.
We'll be here. We'll then turn a game of football into an NFL 3.5 day.
Yeah.
I know you can't look at every situation, but looking at it, would VAR change the Ryan Porteous red card today?
I don't think so. Whatever the on-field referee went with today, I don't think there's a clear and obvious refereeing error.
Right.
So
is that always based on just errors?
It's clear. That's the statement. The statement must be a clear and obvious refereeing error. There, and to give an opinion, you're entitled to your opinion, but it's got to be when you're bringing the referee across to look at the because that was another thing in England. Decisions were given without on-field reviews, and it then became one of my pals down in England's like that. He says, Charlie, when you're coming across, you know you're going to be changing your mind. You know what I mean? Because all the communication is done here.
Aye, no, that's what it looks like.
But is it taking away the trust of the referees on the park?
That's right, because if you've got an experienced official, if you've got Martin Atkinson as a VAR, and you've got the fella Coots refereeing his first Premiership game, he's going to be influenced by what Martin Atkinson is telling him.
And that's what I was trying to say as well. Like that, if you've got,
you look at the pictures and you should. Thanks very much. Here's the clearing refereeing error. There's no clearing refereeing error, so I'm not bringing you over to have a look at it.
Yeah, definitely. But it's one of these debates that we'll keep having for until it's implemented. If there's news in this, we will obviously bring it to you in the social media channels. But we're going to wrap up the show there. It's been an absolute pleasure to do the show as always. Stay tuned during the week. We're going to have a Scottish Football Show Extra coming up on Friday. Our Player of the Week will be up during the week as well. We've got a lot more coming up on the channel this week. But to Charlie and Callum, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for helping out this weekend.
No problem. Thank you.
Brilliant. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Scott.
Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in. Please subscribe to us on social media and follow our podcast channels. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Cheers.